we're going to do a Blender workshop. And the first thing I'm going to do, who am I? Why am I here? So I'm the vice president of the AR/VR Club. I'm also the treasurer of the AR/VR Club. That's a lot of fun, lots of paperwork. I'm also a freelance VTuber creator, so I rig models, I make all the fancy VTubers you see on the internet. I make VR chat avatars and worlds, so I make a lot of environments and make a lot of characters. And I also just do game development on the side as a hobbyist. Why am I here? I'm going to explain to you why making your own assets is probably better than searching them, and it can help you guys complete your projects faster. I'm also going to teach you guys the fundamentals of 3D modeling and like the kind of terminology I will use throughout this slideshow. And finally, to make donuts. All right. So, why should you consider making models? I think one of the biggest bottlenecks in game development besides debugging is asset procurement. Procuring assets can be time consuming. You know, you want to find things that's the right style for your thing, the right colors. You know, if you want a character with long hair or short hair or blue hair or brown hair, it will make your process searching so much slower. And it's costly. You have to buy this stuff. And it takes a lot of time. Of course, I profit off of it, but I'd rather be out of a job. So, you can make character models, you guys can make your specialized weapons, or you can make some specialized character environmental elements to enhance your game without having to spend a dime, because you're making it yourself. It can save some valuable time as you're just making the model instead of spending, I don't know, 50 to 40 hours on Unity Development Store or Unreal Store, just scrolling through endless amount of assets. It's okay. And it can save you guys some extra time for debugging and polishing of your game. On top of that, since you guys are directly creating your assets, you guys are able to make the asset fit the game that you're developing. You're not just using some cookie cutter assets and trying to fit the style of your game to those cookie cutter assets. You are actually able to design the visuals of your game from scratch to the way you like it, not just to what some random asset pack gives you. So, I'm going to talk about the fundamentals. What am I going to talk about? Like the terms that I'm going to use, some of the vocabulary you'll hear thrown around, and some of the more important things that I want you guys to take away at least. First, polygons. You guys have heard about this in math, right? Calc 2, Calc 3, Calc 1, Math 19, all that stuff. Polygons. They are the building blocks of 3D models. They are literally the fundamental element of every single 3D model. Every single model you ever seen has built with polygons. So, this is a donut. Well, kind of. It's more like about 15,000 polygons arranged to look like a donut. This is a wireframe map. And there are about 1.5K polygons per donut. And this is how the computer sees models. It just sees a bunch of dots, a bunch of lines, all of them connected together to make a shape. Polygons directly impact the performance of your game. If you guys are using high poly models, let's say you get a laser scan or something, super ultra realistic face, that's going to slow your game down. It's going to take forever to load. Higher polygon count leads to more computations being made. All right, they have to calculate every single little point on that model. So certain games will have options to disable certain models, right? You have disable grass or disable some props. It's because adding more polygons naturally increases the time it takes to load things, which means your performance is worse. It's also why you hear things like high poly, low poly. Low poly, you know, it's a kind of art style where they use less polygons. So, moving on. Rendering, making this stuff look good. As you saw earlier, the black wireframe thing that I showed you guys earlier, it's kind of ugly. I'm gonna be honest with you, it looks hella ugly. There's no colors, you can see straight through it. It's gray, doesn't look very good. So, let's make it look good. So, Models kind of start like this. Just a map of points, creating plane surfaces, kind of like this gray one right over here. After some basic rendering, you get some shaders, you get some basic lighting. I'll get into shaders in a little bit, and some details are added. So you can see the color, you can see like the flat kind of things, but it still looks kind of flat. This is kind of what you guys see when you guys are developing games. It kind of looks like this. But actual final renders look like this. This is the same exact model that I showed you guys earlier after rendering. It has bounce lighting, it has subsurface scattering, it has all these fancy effects.
With our ID cards until 12 a.m. Once again, the library will close 30 minutes to the public.
Okay, now that he's done, basically, this adds all the complex lighting interactions, your ray tracing, paths, your subsurface scattering, your bounce lighting, all of those fancy rendering effects is done in the final render. But there's one caveat to this. Rendering is very computationally heavy. If your PC cannot handle a render, it will crash your computer. Save your project before rendering. This is true for any development project too. This is the same thing as saying, save your project before running it. Save things first before you run it, because I am not liable for any lost projects or donuts because of inconsistent saving. Okay? I do not want to hear that you messed up your project because you didn't save it. Shaders. Lights and color. I talked about this earlier. Shaders basically mean how light affects your render. As you know, when you see something, light is bouncing off of that object and going back to your eyes, blah, 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 blah. I won't get into the physics. But there's color, reflectivity, transparency, subsurface scattering, all those little fancy points. That is what shaders are. Shaders make it possible to achieve any visual style. They're pretty much like the polish of your thing. As you can see, we have the donuts that are very, very realistic looking on the right, and we have my cartoony little drawn thing on the left. They're very different styles because I use different shaders. Obviously, I can make this thing look realistic if I use realistic shaders and I made it all high resolution, but you can achieve different styles with different shaders. And finally, why Blender? Why can't we just use SOLIDWORKS? Why can't we just use CAD? Because I know some of you guys, in fact, how many people in here use CAD? Any sort of CAD, SOLIDWORKS, anything. 1, 2, kind of. Okay, so why can't we just use those? Because obviously you can just make models in there, right? Just stick some points in and measure everything. Well, it's just a difference of what they're designed to do. Blender is designed for VFX, game assets, and animations, while CAD is designed for industrial design, manufacturing, and construction. They're fundamentally different tools. Blender has variable resolution. You can make things low polygon or high polygon, it doesn't really matter. But when you're working with a CAD software, their goal is high precision, so they have high polygons. They are very, very detailed. Which means if you try to put a CAD model into your game, expect your game to take 2 minutes to load. Blender has some character rigging tools. You guys can make your characters. CAD, not designed to make characters. It's designed to make a bracket. Finally, Blender has some basic physics tools, but of course CAD has the advantage here. They have the advanced physics tools where you can find out how much something deflects or stresses under different loads. So they're just fundamentally different tools. They're not really meant to be interchanged. That's why we're going to be using Blender instead of CAD to make donuts. And finally, why do I keep mentioning donuts? I said donuts at least 30 times. It doesn't sound like a word anymore. Donuts are the rite of passage in the 3D modeling community. Think of it like the hello world of 3D modelings, or if you guys are more script inclined, your debug log hello world semicolon, your f-string print f-string text hello percentage x world semicolon. Okay? In order to create this model, you simply just need to learn the basics of Blender. Once you make it, it's kind of your rite of passage. All right, is there any questions about anything I've just talked about before we start getting into demos? No? Okay. Final notes. I highly encourage you not to copy my donuts. I showed you a couple photos of donuts. Please do not copy them. I want you to create new donuts. You can take some of my random ideas here. You can make a bagel. You can make frosted donut. You can make jelly-filled donuts, which are his favorites. You can make a birthday cake donut, a metal donut, a flaming donut, a donut topped with mini donuts, or a mochi donut. Seriously, do whatever you want with the donuts. Just don't copy me exactly because you're not learning anything. You're just copying my keystrokes at this point. So is there anything before we get into the demo part of the workshop? To do the donut tutorial, we're gonna start doing the demo now and start actually live developing a donut. So if you guys are participating, I'd ask you guys get the Blender open. I think you guys should have it in your announcements to have Blender already installed. If you do not have Blender installed, then unfortunately it's gonna take 10 minutes to load and you'll probably fall behind. So please get Blender open if you have it on your computer. This thing is yeah. All right. So I'm gonna ask. So how many people are participating in the Blender one, making donuts? Okay, one. How many people are helping make donuts? You got one person says kind of over there. Anybody else making donuts and not just meeting up with your club members? Okay, I guess I'm teaching 2.5. That's what I'll say. 2.5 people. Okay, I guess this guy's gonna talk first.
Grab your attention. The library will close to the public in 15 minutes. Please check out all your materials now. At 3 p.m., the library will be available for SBC Sparks with current Tower ID cards. Once again, the library will close to the public in 15 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, so we're just gonna get right into it. If you guys get Blender open, that would be great. And all we're gonna do is just press General, and that's just gonna start up a new project. And you should be met with this scene right here. You'll have a cube, a camera, and a light. So once you're here, I'm just gonna go ahead and get you familiar with some of the buttons that I'll ask you to press. So first thing is to add a new object is Shift A to add new things, okay? You have a search bar right here if you don't know where it is. And you have all these different tools. I'll talk about it soon, but I'll talk about it in a bit. And on the right here, we have all the different modifier menus that we'll be going through. We'll only go through about, 4 of them. But this little side, I'll just call this the side menu, okay?
I'm using so I can follow.
Yeah. So this is our side menu. And to move around, you have right click. You can either use the middle mouse button on your mouse to rotate your camera like this. If you want to look around your scene, you can hold Shift and do the same thing. All right, right here is your little card. This is how you can adjust your aim if you do not have middle mouse. And you can also click the axes here to get a flat view from different angles. We'll have different tabs here. We have layout, modeling, sculpting, UV editing, texture paint, shading, animation, rendering, compositing. We're not gonna use all of them. We're only gonna use layout, sculpting, shading, and that's it. We're only gonna use 3 of these. There's a lot of tools in here, so it might get a little complicated, but you guys should be able to handle it. I'm gonna show you guys all the way through. All right, is everybody okay so far? Nobody is stuck on opening or finding different things. Okay. So right up here, I'm going to show you these little bars right here. These will give you different kinds of views. So this gives you the little wire. So this is the one I showed you earlier with the little wire frame, and it looks like this. You have a flat shaded, partially shaded, and the full render. So for now, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Just keep it on whatever setting it was on. But I will ask you guys to use buttons up here. Okay, otherwise there's not many other buttons that you will need to click on the screen. Maybe some things up here, but I'll go ahead and go through it nice and slow. So the first thing we gotta do is a Blender Classic, delete the cube in the middle. We are not gonna use the button. We're not gonna use that cube. So you should have a scene like this. Nothing in it, just the light, the camera, and nothing in the middle. And I want you guys to press Shift A, Mesh, Torus. Torus is another word for a donut. All right, the math donut, the math version of a donut. And do not click anything once you make this torus. You'll see where my mouse is, there's an extra menu. This menu will let you adjust the settings that they just applied to that, so you guys can actually get the right shape. So I'm gonna go ahead and do it again. Shift A, Mesh, Torus, and don't do anything, and you'll see a Add Torus menu in the bottom left corner. You want to click on that, and this will open up a whole lot of information. If I were to zoom in, you'll see like all these different segments, right? All these little sections, all these little segments. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce the amount of segments to 32. Yes. So it's in the, once you make the torus, it's in the bottom left corner. It's going to look like this.
Oh, I see. Okay.
You click on it, and you'll be able to adjust the settings. For us, we're going to be doing 32 and 12. It's a comment. Basically, I'm going to do this. Do not have to copy me for this. If I set this to 64, you'll notice there's a bunch more segments if I zoom in right here. If I do 32, you'll see that it's like more resolution, massive amount of resolution. But please, it's a common mistake to make massive resolution, because if you make it too high resolution now, it will be hard to work on later. We can make it high resolution after we're done getting the shape right. Once you guys get the shape, looks like this, and you guys set the major segments to 32. You guys should adjust the radiuses. Specifically, the minor radius alters the center, and this one edits the outer radius. You can keep this at 1 for now, but basically adjust the numbers until you get like a donut shape. I do not know how else to describe it. Just adjust it until you get a shape that kind of resembles a donut. You know, like this. Let me know if you guys got this. You do not need to copy my numbers exactly. You know, donuts are handmade. They can be any size, any kind of shape. But you want a rough, general donut shape. You can make a massive donut. I don't really care. I wanted to make, as a fun project, a donut topped with many donuts, with sprinkles on said mini donuts. So feel free to go crazy with it. Just general rule of thumb. Adjust the minor radius and the outer radius. The major radius, this top one right here, will adjust the size of your donut, and this will adjust the inner size of your donut. So just get them to the right shape that you like, and just press enter or click off of it when you're done.
Wait, if back up?
Huh?
If like the add flowers disappear, how do I open it back up?
Honestly, I don't think you can.
Okay.
Because when you click off of it, it assumes that you're done.
Okay.
with editing it. So just get the size that you like, make it look like something like this. And you'll see right here, it shows up as torus 0.001 or something like that. Just double click it and rename it donut. This is going to be the base of your donut, and we're going to be kind of putting the frosting on, all of that stuff. So right now, think of it just like a ball of dough. This is your ring of dough before we get a donut. So once you guys are at this stage, I want you guys to go to the side menu, this one right here on the right. I wish I could have like the laser pointer and like point at things. Go to this little menu on the right and click on the gear, this little wrench right here. It says modifiers. You want to click on that and make sure you have the donut selected. Also, in the shaders, when we actually, I'm going to say right now, for the render stage, we can actually do simpler renders so you guys laptops can handle it. But we'll keep going through this for now. Once you guys get to this stage, you know, you have your donut shape and you're ready to continue on. We're going to add a modifier. Okay? So first make your torus, rename it to something like donut so you guys know what it is. Add and go to down to this little wrench symbol and click add modifier. And we are going to go to subdivision surface right here. So under generate, subdivision surface. And you'll notice all of a sudden it's even more high resolution. What's happening here is it is basically kind of faking the effect of high resolution by modifying it just before we start viewing it.
Attention, Spartans and public. The library closes to the public in 5 minutes. Please check out your materials now.
They must pay him a lot. They must pay him a lot. He's always on time.
The library closes to the public in 5 minutes.
Okay, so I can show you guys real quick. You guys can like put this up to like you guys see that this doesn't change anything, but if I change this one right here, this first one, you'll see, right? It's getting super shaded, super smooth, and then not super smooth. So you guys want to set it to 1 and 1, okay? That just means it's gonna make it 2 times higher resolution at no cost to your PC. So you can see if I go ahead and turn this off for a second, you can see it basically divides those little squares that you see by 2 and turn them into 2 squares or 4 squares. All right? It should look something like that.
Wait, how do I open that tab again?
So it's a little wrench symbol.
Oh,
Wrench symbol, add modifier, subdivision surface. I could make this a little bigger so you can actually see the name. There we go. I'm gonna tilt the screen a little bit to the down. Okay, if we're all good, I'm gonna be moving on. We're gonna add another modifier. And you know what? Let's do some. Oh yeah, I know what to do. So the next thing we're going to do is duplicate this and start creating the frosting layer. Okay, this is your basic flat donut. What I want you to do is press Shift D, and you'll notice that you'll have another version of the donut parented to your mouse. And you press Escape because you don't want it to be, floating off to the side. You want the donut sitting inside your donut, something like this. So it should look visually the same, but you should see 2 donuts up here. So the control for that is Shift D.
Now for this layer, this other donut, first let's rename it to icing. Okay, icing. Now this is what you want to do if you're making a perfectly symmetrical donut. But I don't think donuts look perfect in reality, right? I mean, if you were to create a symmetrically perfect donut in every way, I don't think it would look very good. So I'm gonna go back real quick and we're gonna go ahead and make this donut a little more bumpy. It's too perfect. So what I want you to do is first click on this little box right here. So what this does is, I'll explain it a little bit, but just go ahead and turn this off. So once you have this, your scene should have this. A donut subdivision should have this setting off 1 and 1. I'm doing this all off the top of my head, so forgive me for having to go back a step. No? Give him a second. Give him a second. I think he accidentally hung up. Oh well. You'll figure it out in a second. So what we just did is disable this in edit mode. So,
Attention!
there it is.
The library is now closed to the public. Extended study hours are now in effect. NCSC Spartans with current caller ID cards may remain until 12 a.m. All others must exit the building. Once again, the library is now closed to the public. That's it.
So now what we're gonna do is we are just going to distort the shape of the donut to make it look more organic, more like you just dropped it in a fryer, all right? So what we're gonna do is press tab. And what you should see is something like this. So press tab and you'll see a bunch of little points. These are the polygons I was talking about. Each one is a square. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna distort the shape a little bit, kind of pull random points around. So to go over this, you press tab to switch. What might help is if you feel like this is a little weird looking, you can click right click and shade smooth. And all of a sudden, oh wow, your thing is very smooth. But yeah. So once you're in here, you want to click off of it so you don't accidentally edit the entire thing. You're going to click one point, any point, and I want you to click on this button. You can press O, or that button right there. It is proportional editing. Basically, it creates this little circle that you see. And it's basically like it affects all the points within the circle. If you don't press it, it only edits that one point. That if you press the button, it edits all the points around it. So once you guys kind of have this, what you guys should do, yes?
With the mesh view, when I did
Tap.
the smooth shading, it doesn't show any.
Oh, it's, so you click smooth shading, it looks like this, right? You just press tab. Yeah. So once you're in this view, select some random point, turn this on, and just go and start moving stuff around. Make it not perfect. Make things distorted. Flatten parts of it out. Make things bulge out. Just
I have that on, but it's not working.
press G to move things around. So click on something, press G, and then move it around. So what you should do is just kind of flatten different areas of it out. especially like kind of around the middle, right? Because the donuts are kind of flat on the sides and then curved on the top. So what you can do is just start selecting random points along the side and just kind of squishing them in. And basically the only goal of this is to just kind of make the shape organic, not perfectly symmetrical in any way. So like kind of make it look like it just came out of the fryer, essentially. At the bottom, at the top, everywhere, make it look kind of random. If you feel like the effect is too big, you can use the scroll wheel to adjust the size of the little circle of effect. Trust me, you'll use this kind of thing a lot. Just kind of distort the shape little by little until you kind of get until you're satisfied with how it kind of looks. It should look like kind of a lumpy piece of dough, kind of like this. The little circle. When you click on a point, just click any point. It's going to be right here. This little circle. You can also press O, like the letter O. So just kind of make it look bumpy, non-perfect. Because have you ever been handed a perfectly symmetrical donut that has a perfect circle in the center and a perfect outer rim and a perfectly cylindrical thing?
Yes, sir.
It's the only way to eat them. I get it if it's a mochi donut, but I do not get it if it's an actual donut. So just kind of distort the shape a little bit. And there is a better tool to do this if you guys want to kind of really make it unique. And that is the sculpting tab. So at the top is the third tab. It says sculpting. You click on it and you'll get something like this. There you go. So when you click on the sculpting tab, you'll get something like this. And this is like, think of it like turning your model into clay. And now you can start using like your clay tools to start modifying it. Scroll down to like the yellow tools, you can just kind of click on it and just start moving stuff around. Or, you can just go in here and just start editing it. Whatever you guys want to do. As long as it doesn't look perfect. I cannot stress it enough. Because if it looks perfect, then people can tell it's a 3D model and not the real thing. And when you press tab, you'll be able to see what it looks like all smoothed out and looking kind of like this. I'm going to go ahead and do this. Press G, and I'm just going to like this. Just like make the sides flatter. There we go. So once you have your like slightly distorted donut, it should look kind of bumpy with kind of squished edges, and the circle on the inside is no longer a circle, it's kind of more abstract of a shape. There we go. When you have some kind of imperfect donut, that's when you duplicate it, as I said earlier. Shift D. Rename it icing. And now you should have a donut and icing. The reason why we did this in this order is because, icing kind of coats the donut. It doesn't float over. So we're creating a duplicate of the donut, and we're just going to raise this kind of thing over it, kind of draping the layer on top. It'll make more sense as we go through the steps. But the reason why is because we want the icing to be just as lumpy as the donut itself.
What did you do to the icing? Did you move it up?
No, just keep it the same. Keep it there. Just select it right here. And what we're gonna do, once you're at this step, we're gonna click on this little X button to get a side view. We're gonna press tab So we can get that same kind of dot map. And I'm gonna take this back down. You guys wanna click on this button right here. This little viewport shading wireframe. It kind of looks like a circle with a bunch of lines through it. And what you should see is the pure geometry of your donut. And what you can do is you can press B and just box select the entire bottom. So you want to select the bottom of your donut.
Wait, what do I press?
So you can press B for box select and box select the bottom of your donut. Because I don't think your donut is coated on the bottom, right? Unless you are eating dipped donuts. You want to select the bottom of your donut, press delete, and delete vertices. Okay, press delete on your keyboard and click vertices. And what you should see is when you select the donut, you should only have the top half of your donut. So this top layer is going to represent our icing. When you delete it, it doesn't really visually change, but when you box select the entire donut, then you'll see it. Or you can press A, and you can verify that the donut was indeed cut in half.
How do you, I've been pressing D, but it doesn't select just the bottom.
What do you mean?
To delete the bottom half of the donut.
So when you press B, it doesn't select the bottom of the donut.
Like I press B and then I just like select it, like select something.
It's like deleting my whole donut too.
You guys are in object mode.
Oh, so you guys need to be in edit mode. So that's why you press tab. Press tab first.
Oh yeah, I did.
So if I were to press Control Z here, blah, 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 blah. So let me go ahead and go over this again. So you're in this view, right? You select icing,
Yeah.
you press tab, so you're in the edit mode for your icing. You press on the X button to get in front of your donut. You press the wireframe button. Then you press B. You box select the bottom of your donut and make sure only the bottom of the donut is orange. Once you reach this step, press delete and delete vertices. First option. And now you should have the top half of your donut. You got it, Hong? Okay. So, once you have the top half of your donut, we are going to add a modifier. And we are going to use the solidify modifier. Basically what we have is kind of like a sheet, kind of a flat sheet of the donut. And solidify basically means turn that sheet and kind of create points to make it kind of a solid object instead of just a flat point. When we click solidify and we click on this view, what you should see is a bunch of this telltale sign of things clipping together. If you see this, you're doing it right. So let me know when you guys get to this point. Give me a thumbs up if you guys kind of see this weird speckly effect on your donuts. So you're clicking on icing, you add a modifier, and the modifier is called solidify. You can go back to object mode or pretty much press tab. And you should see kind of this speckly effect. If you don't see it, then you need to click here. And then will it show it for you? So let me go back. So you're editing, right? You're editing. You press tab and make sure you're in this one. And you should see this. Did you do this one? Solidify?
Yeah.
To the icing, right?
Yeah.
I'll get up and go look. You got it?
Kaiser, Anleitung, Entschuldigung. Okay.
It's close enough. So once you kind of reach this stage, what we're gonna do is first we're gonna set the offset, and we're gonna set the offset to like 0. And now you'll see that the frosting is kind of coating the donut now. So you should see 2 distinct layers. Your frosting and your donut. And also, yeah, okay. Click the same blue button that we did earlier. That just means when you click tab, it'll be this flat point, and you press tab again, it'll fill it in. So first, make sure you have this off. Set the offset to 0. And now you should see this. I zoom in really close. You should see a little lip. If you want it thicker, you can make it thicker. Just go here, adjust the thickness to how you like it. For me personally, I like keeping it around here. And what you should have is an iced donut. This donut has some icing on it, but it doesn't really look like icing. It kind of looks like we just put a cap on a donut. So the next part is going to be making it look like icing instead of looking like that. Looks like the top half of the donut is just slightly bigger than the bottom rather than icing. So we're going to go ahead and go to it. Click on icing. We're going to press tab. We're going to select some points. Select one. And just droop it down. Just droop down some of the points. Just go around it. You know, make the frosting kind of go down. Just kind of select random points and just make them droop down a little bit. And when I press tab again, you'll see now it has an irregular edge. Now, if you notice that your frosting kind of comes out from the donut, there's a way you can fix that. And if you add another modifier. You can add another modifier. This is only follow this if you notice that your icing isn't clinging to your donut, right? The icing's kind of like spewing out. And that is by going into the generate. What is it? It's the deform shrink wrap. You guys use shrink wrap, right? You put it over an object that kind of sticks to it. So it does the same thing here. So put the shrink wrap. You can use this little menu here and just drag it all the way up, right here. And the target is your donut. All right, so if I go ahead and open this up right here. So you want on your icing, subdivision, shrink wrap that's targeted to the donut, and solidify. This is gonna get you that icing layer. Let me know once you guys reach this point or if you guys need any help with this step. I know I just did a lot. Yes, one more modifier right here called shrink wrap. And it'll start at the bottom. What you want to do is click on this little waffly looking thing in the corner and drag it up under subdivision. That way, it clings to your donut no matter how much you edit it. Now, I'm going to go ahead and go over and go look at some donuts. And I'll show you what we're going to be doing next. So, let's get some reference art in here. some art reference. And you'll notice something's missing about our icing besides the sprinkles. These drips, right? When you put on icing, it comes on the liquid. So you need to kind of simulate the liquid effect. It can't just look like you just slapped something on there. So, to do this, you can go back to edit mode, select 2 points, and press E. And E is the extrude tool, and it'll create 2 brand new points, and you just want to kind of wrap it along the donut, like that. And then when you switch back to view, you'll see they now have a drip. I'm gonna adjust it to make it look a bit better. Maybe shrink the end a little bit. Bring it up a little bit. Basically just click on a random spot, click on 2 points, make sure you're in edit mode by the way, and press E to extrude a point. Once you get in the right position, press tab, and it'll create a brand new part of your dough, part of your icing, that acts as a drip. Just go around your donut, add random drops, kind of distort it, the edge, to make the edge more liquid-like. I'm gonna go here, add a little drop there, go over here, add another long drop here, make it thin. Go over here, add a nice thing over there. It's not an exact science, just go ahead and do it until it kind of fits how you like it. This area looks too perfect. I'm just gonna drag that down. Okay. So the end goal of all of this is to just get a really, really liquidy looking edge. Sometimes you can just kind of make a drop go all the way down along the edge of the donut, like so. And you can make it look like that. So tab, select some points, press E, and to extrude. And you can just keep extruding along the surface of your donut to get the desired effect. Boop, boop. If you notice some weird marks like this, it's fine. Select 2 points, kind of move them around. There we go. So the idea is just get something rough. I don't like the look of this area. I'm gonna delete these. And delete these. And these.
Is it normal for the excluded area to have something on it?
Sometimes, yes. You just gotta delete it all and then do it again. Yeah. It happens all the time though. Like see right here? This is caused by some geometry issues. So you just gotta go in there. No, it's because basically it's creating multiple vertices at that point. So if you click right now, it's like having 2 times the points there. So think of it like putting a really tiny rectangle right here. So that's why it will look weird. So you just want to go ahead and stretch another thing down. In my case, I'm going to make another drop, kind of a dip here. And delete, and delete. And it should look something like this. This. Oh, this area doesn't look right. This area and this area needs to be filled. I accidentally deleted a section of my donut. There. Make sure to give your donut a visual inspection just to be sure it looks right. You guys need help? Right now I'm just fixing a part of my donut that has a hole. Select those 4 points and select those 4 points. Now if you're having a lot of like different areas with a lot of issues, there's a little tool that you can use to fix it. If I can go ahead and finish this up first, subdivide by 2. All I'm doing right now is just repairing the different parts that I accidentally deleted. So you don't need to follow this part, just go ahead and keep doing your donut. And I'm going to show you the tool to do once you're done. You're satisfied with the shape. So once you have your shape and you're happy with it, and you want to kind of clean it up a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and adjust this a little bit. There we go. You want to go ahead and go up here, press A. Then press Mesh, right here. Merge by distance. And all that does is it's going to go in there, it's going to find vertices or points that are just really, really close together and just merge them together. So that way it's any kind of redundant points that you accidentally made during this process get cleared out and you can continue working on your thing. So go ahead and give me a thumbs up when you're done and you're like satisfied with kind of your thing. Yeah. Huh? notice like, do you see how like all the different edges of so now all those tools are showing. Okay, now put it onto your presses. Now go ahead and go back to the. You go back to the main menu. Can you go back to object mode? Try turning up the thickness. Oh no, like, because you're wizard too. So, see like all these weird parts here? Oh, I know. So, shrink that. Just go above. So that kind of fixes it. Okay, this point right here. See that it's going with mine. And those dark bits are too. That's it.
Feel kind of raw.
Alright, is everybody kind of at the stage where you're doing a with icing that kind of looks right? Not quite. Just 0.0. And it should be above. Because the shrink wrap, just like cling film, it sticks to it. And if you put it after you solidify, then it's literally just going to pop it up and shrink it. Oh no, it's fine. I normally use it older version. I normally use it older version. So, Hong, you got it? Everybody kind of got this step where you have like the frosting with like all the little globs on it, kind of. It doesn't have to look perfect, right? Yeah. Amazing.
Look at it. Look at it. Come here and look at it. It's disgusting.
Hey man, whatever floats your boat, man. I said be creative. I don't care if it's made out of metal or broken glass or skin. Go ahead, do whatever you want, man. It's your model. It's your donut, not mine. I'm not liable. Okay. So next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and make the drops more convincing. So right now the drops kind of look flat. They're kind of sticking. So first thing we're gonna do, when I zoom in, like really zoom in, you notice that kind of the edge is in the middle. So you see like the edge is curving away from the donut. You want the frosting to kind of cling to the donut. So when you click on the icing, you want to go to the solidify. And you want to click edge data. And when you go to edge data, you want to set the crease inner to 1. Okay, so solidify, edge data, crease inner 1. And that will move the crease from kind of a rounded surface to a sloped surface that goes into the donut. It's the little details that matter, right? Oh, I'm gonna do this real quick. I want to do this point, move it down. This point, move it down. This point, move it up. This point, move it down. There. So, once you are done, kind of getting that, so the next step we're gonna do is sculpting. Go back to your sculpting tool. It's up at the top, sculpting. And when you scroll all the way down, and do you see mask? Set the strength to 1. Or 0. Okay, wait. Why isn't this working? It'll be fine. We will move on. I am not going to get into that because we do not have the time. What I was going to do is I was going to make like the blob. Actually, you can just do this instead. So you can go into our sculpting tool. You want to click inflate, and you just want to kind of inflate different areas of your thing. Let me double check. I don't know why it's not inflating right now. Oh, okay. So once you are happy with the shape, you want to go ahead and click apply. So you want to select this little drop down arrow and click apply. Apply and apply. So now when you click tab, you should see a whole bunch of new points. It should be a bunch of polygons. So you should have a completely new set of icing. Once you click apply to everything, you go to sculpting, and now you can go ahead and start inflating different areas. And the idea is you just want to kind of do a little bit on each of the blobs that you made, each of the drops, and kind of along the edge. So when you go to your layout, under modifiers, I'm gonna add one real quick. This. You click on this drop down arrow, and you click apply. Are you editing it? Okay, exit edit mode. Okay, you got it? Okay. So once you apply it, go into the sculpting tool and just kind of inflate, use the little inflate tool right here. And just start inflating different areas, especially along the bottom edge. The idea is as gravity is kind of pulling the frosting down, so it's creating like big droplets at the bottom. It's not going to be really that crazy. It should just be subtle, but it'll help with the effect. Once you're done, just go back to the layout tool and we can move on to the step, which is going to be shading, making it look like a donut. Because right now it just looks gray, not very good looking. Normally this whole tutorial is like 2 days long. I'm trying to shorten it down to an hour. So I apologize if I'm going at a fast pace. So just to go over it again, go to the scope. You apply all your modifiers for the icing. You go to the sculpting tool. You click on the inflate tool or press I and just kind of go over the edge and just start, inflating it, making it look bigger. Because gravity is kind of pulling down on the frosting, so you want the bottom to look a little bit bulgy. Just gonna do this for the entire edge. There we go. And once you're done kind of just lightly inflating the edges, just go back to layout mode. And you can verify that you actually did make some kind of effect on the frosting. And the next step will be getting the donut to look like a donut and then making the frosting look like frosting. After that, you'll kind of have a donut, and we'll start working beyond that to start adding the fancy stuff and making it look good. So give me like a thumbs up when you guys are at this stage where you kind of have a blank model of a donut with nothing on it. We're almost there.
How do we do the coloring?
I'm gonna wait for Gazelle to finish. But basically, first thing first is we're gonna paint the dough part of the donut. Because this part is very obvious what color it should be. Unless you're doing some kind of metal donut. Which would be really cool, not gonna lie. But I'm doing a traditional donut for the sake of teaching people. And I'm shortening the tutorial by only doing a chocolate donut.
Keychain's way too expensive. I think.
And then you can apply as a bottom and do it for the and you should be able to.
Pretty much the end goal right now at this stage is we have the model of the donut. There's no color, right? But we have the shape, we have everything we need, and we can start getting the colors right and getting it visually looking good. Okay, you're all good, Gazelle? You got it? Alright. Hong, you got it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I have a mouse, so it's a little bit difficult.
I told you to bring a mouse. I said in the announcement explicitly, you need to bring one.
I thought I'm gonna use my PC for the thing, so I wasn't expecting to tell them. It's fine, it's fine.
You can get through it. If I can make a donut on a trackpad, you can make a donut on a trackpad. I'll give you guys a little extra time. But basically all you're doing is just running the inflate tool along the edge to kind of get it to look like it kind of melted on. I'm gonna go over to this next tab, which is texture paint. And you're gonna select the donut. Okay, so texture paint, select the donut. And I want you to press new and give it a name. I'm gonna call it donut texture. Press OK. Let me make sure this is on the right view. You want to press the donut? You want to go down to this part. At the very bottom, there's a little sphere. You want to press new and name it something. Donut. I don't know, just name it donut. And the color should be an image texture. I know this is kind of going fast, but there. So, to go over what I just did, go down the list, click on the sphere, it says material, press the plus button to make a new material, name it something, I named mine donut, go into the base color, click on the yellow dot, and select image texture. Okay, so material, donut, base texture, there you go. And you want to create a new one. Create a new image, give her a name, donut, base, color. And you want to go ahead and edit it. So open, oh not open, click on this little icon and click donut base color. And now what's going to happen is when you draw on the donut, it'll show up here. Click on this. Texture paint. At the top. So you should have a completely burnt donut to start with. And what you'll notice is when you drag and click on it, you can paint it, and you'll see the colors show up on the left side. You can also, if you go in here, you can also just draw on here. Ugh. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to pick a color that looks like a donut. So thinking like a kind of light orange color, and then like make it a little darker. Kind of make it more orange. more saturated. Okay, once you have a color, just color the entire donut. Go all the way around. If you want to, you can select paint here. So click paint, and you just go over here. You can increase the radius of your tools right here. Just paint the entire thing this color. Now you should have a donut with a kind of brownish base. Now it's starting to look like a donut, right? You got your dough. Now, 1 second. I noticed I made an error in my icing. I gotta fix that real quick. There we go. Okay, so getting back to this. Once you have finished painting your donut and making it a solid color, a pro tip, to make your colors, you want to select a slightly lighter color. So you want to maybe lighten it a little bit. And you want to decrease the saturation a little bit. Maybe move the hue a little bit in either direction. And you want to get a slightly lighter color. And you just want to go along the edge and just remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be, because it's going to be hidden by the frosting. That's wild. Timing how long you talk to people. Anyways, just go ahead and use a slightly lighter color and just kind of paint the edge around your donut, like this. And at the end, you should have something kind of like this. I pre-made one, so I'm just gonna open up my old one that I made earlier. But generally, it's the same process. This is my one I made earlier. I'm just gonna apply that to this. But generally, it's the same idea. You just wanna go ahead and paint the middle with a slightly lighter color. You kinda get this white ring around the edge. Because if you look at a real donut, if I get a donut image, you'll notice that there's like a light edge on the donut like this. And we're just gonna go ahead and draw that on. So this is how you kind of color your donut and make it look right. We're gonna do something different for the icing. But if you want to skip ahead and kind of do it easily, you guys can do something else. But I'm going to show you guys the proper way of doing shaders for the icing. Because the icing should be kind of different than the base dough. The dough should look different than the icing, because the icing is naturally a little bit shiny. So it's going to be kind of a different effect. And I'll show you guys how to get a different effect once you guys are all kind of done getting this ring of color. So all I did was just grab and just start painting all along the edge. Anybody stuck on this step? Everybody kind of done with this? Yes.
So, I think I tried to open the texture that I made, but it's all blacked out, and also,
So you want to click paint right here. So click paint, and you should be able to start painting on this side.
yeah,
get up and try not to get caught in the wires. You closed it. You're not following the instructions. You closed it without saving and lost the donut. How's your fancy one going? I'll show you guys how to get Mine's gonna be chocolate donut, but I'll show you guys how to make it translucent. Alright. So this stage, I'm gonna go click on shading real quick. And shading kind of looks like this. Okay. So once you're done kind of getting this effect of a brown donut with a white ring in the center, you wanna click on the shading tab. And you'll see a bunch of crazy stuff going on. It is fine. Do not panic. So in here, you can adjust different settings and kind of see them in real time how they look. So you can adjust if it's like super metallic or, you know, matte. You can adjust the roughness so it can be super rough or super smooth. I prefer keeping it half-half. This one you can adjust the reflectivity of your thing. Let's keep that default for now. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to click on our frosting and start a new, and you're going to click on donut. And you should see a duplicate. And then you want to press the 2 button. And now you can rename it as icing. Not icing. There. So you should now have 2 materials, donut and icing. We're going to go ahead and remove this. In fact, we're going to remove this entire thing. And what we should have is something like this. And this is where you can kind of get creative about the lighting and styling. So I'm going to be making a chocolate donut. That's just what I want to make. But you can use different things to make different kind of looks. So to get color is you click on here. You either make a new material or you click on this little sphere icon and you click donut. And then you click on the 2 button. Yes, the other group left. Is everybody kind of at this stage where you have the material for your bottom part? So I'm gonna go ahead and start doing this part while that's sending, because I'll just load that image as a texture and you should be good to go. So once you're in this tab, you can select the base color and select whatever color you want your frosting to be. Whatever color. In your guys' case, if you guys are making maple bar, it'll be brown, right? Yeah. So just select your color. I'm making a chocolate bar, so the chocolate donut, so it needs to be brown. Have a dark brown. And it should be a bit reflective, so I'm going to turn this up. So that's how you get the color on your donut. And the final thing we're gonna do is start doing the render settings to kind of get the final photo or the final look of your donut. For you guys, what you guys want to do is when you go to material, instead of using if you click on this green dot here, you have a bunch of different shaders. And I think for a maple bar, you guys want to use like the glass version. Because you want like something transparent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can use the glass or the glossy shader. So for my thing, we're gonna go into the settings real quick to make the render look really good. And that is we're gonna press this little TV or the little camera icon. And we're just gonna turn it from Eevee to cycles. And select the device to GPU. Okay, so TV icon, cycles, GPU. If it's grayed out, you go to settings, preferences, where is it? System, and select one of these. And if you do not have a graphics card in your thing, you want to press CPU. Now this is the part that gets really hard on your computer. All right? If your computer cannot, so make sure to save, which I have not saved this entire time. Could have been a hard lesson, but I caught myself. There we go. So once you get the color kind of matching the kind of shading that you like, you want to make sure you select cycles. And then finally, when you are ready to see your final donut, you press on this button right here. When you do, you'll kind of see it quickly make your rendered donut. But it kind of doesn't look very good. So we can move the lights around, kind of adjust your scene. I'm gonna stick a light in here, make the sun, put it up, make it pointing to the right, frame it. I'm gonna select the camera. There we go. And yeah. Cycles. Let's make it a minimum of 50 cycles. So this is kind of your first donut render. And pretty much this is the donut that is finalized. This is kind of like easy for your computer to run because we're not running anything complicated. It's just a donut. But if you want to add more, you can press this. You can add a plane, make it big. Then you'll start getting bounce lighting on it. There we go. That is your donut. Yes, it's a chocolate donut because quite frankly, teaching you guys how to do the sprinkles would take you guys like another hour.
Would you use particles for sprinkles?
Huh?
Would you use particles?
There is no particles.
But no, for sprinkles, would you? Like,
So no, the way it works is you use something called a geometry node. And it's like you select random points and then you stick a model to those random points and then you start like messing around with all of the settings. There's a lot of good tutorials out there to do it. Blender Guru is the one I follow most of the time. You just look up Blender donut and then like 7,000 tutorials of this will show up. I'm doing this all off the top of my head and we got a chocolate donut. If you guys want to like get the image of your donut, you guys can just select render and render image. And after a little bit, of course, this will be very hard on your PC. But once you do, you'll have an image of your donut in high resolution as a completed image. And you can save it, send it to your friends, make donuts for them, whatever you want. You want to get complicated? You can make a donut top with donuts. I'm gonna do that right now, actually.
I got a question. You said to press on the TV icon to do something. What was the TV icon?
This one. I'm gonna make this super tiny. I'm gonna stick this right on top of my donut, and I'm just gonna. I'm literally just gonna make a bunch of tiny donuts and just stick them all over the place.
What did you change in the render image?
So, right here, cycles, supported, GPU. If you do not have a GPU, you can use your CPU. Just warning you. Okay. I'll go over there and show you where it is.